When you think of the best Call of Duty, what do you think of? Black Ops 2, right?
Remember, no rushing.
A popular new video game actually allows you to be a terrorist and kill people. Take a look.
Good job, son. Get ready for the next round. Oh my fucking god! No, get the camera! Money! Oh my god!
Oh, riot shield! I'm a pussy that use riot shield!
Oh, I'm a what do you want me to use?
Faggot.
You tell
Look
me
at
what
you,
you
you're
want me to
Trans
fucking
Prestige.
use.
Trans Prestige, you fucking fag.
You tell me what to
Trans
fucking
Prestige.
use, huh? Tell me what to fucking use.
Hey there, YouTube. It's about 9:45 on the 9th of November 2009, and I'm going to get in line for Modern Warfare 2 midnight release.
We're good.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Back with another video. I didn't drop a video last week because I've been sick, so I'm sick right now still. MW2 has always been my favorite Call of Duty, and I said Black Ops 2 in the beginning of the video because it's pretty tied between Black Ops 2 and MW2. Not for me, but for a lot of other people. They debate whether the best Call of Duty is Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2. For me, it's always been MW2, and it will always be that way. MW2 will always be perfect for me, even though it wasn't perfect at all. And we're gonna talk about why I think it was the best Call of Duty. Let's start off with saying MW2 had a lot of problems that never got fixed. I'll throw one right out the gate. One-man army noob tubing. Obviously a big problem with the game. Never got patched. It was actually going to get patched. There was a tweet about it back then. I think the guy got fired or something. But he was working on a patch for the one-man army noob tubing so that it wouldn't be in the game anymore and it wouldn't work the way it does today. It still works the same way. Another one, Painkiller. An annoying death streak. You die 3 times, then you spawn with extra health that lasts like 5 seconds or so, or I think it's more than 5, but obviously it's annoying. It ruins a lot of streaks because you put 20 bullets into them and they don't die. But what made the game so perfectly unperfect, I guess you could say, was that almost everything was broken. Everything was overpowered. Every gun was good. There wasn't a single gun that was not usable at all. And that made the game fun because you could use anything and compete with any other weapon. Call of Duty nowadays or in other games, you really had to use meta weapons to compete. You can use whatever you want, of course, and still do good. But there was always people using the same weapons because those weapons are good, and that's how it is now. Everyone uses the meta AR or SMG or whatever. You can't use just anything you want now. The map design of MW2. Let's talk about some great classic maps. You had Terminal, Rust, High Rise, Wasteland, Scrapyard, Afghan. There were just so many good maps that everyone loved. There wasn't really a lot of maps in MW2 that people hated. I can name a couple. Derail, which I always liked. Derail, I didn't have a problem with it, but a lot of people thought it was pretty big, and it is a bigger map, but it still played pretty well. If you threw that in a new COD, it would just be it would be terrible. Too big of a map, people would be camping. But back then, it was a good map for the game, and I liked it. Another map people probably didn't like, Invasion. I didn't really like Invasion that much. That's a map I actually didn't really like. Other than that, But people also didn't like Wasteland, which I love Wasteland, you know, but it was the same thing as Derail. People thought it was too big. But Wasteland is that's one of my favorite maps of all time. But there wasn't really any maps that were like, no, I'm not gonna play that. You know, you would play any map, you'd play every map, and you could do good, you would still have fun. We talk about kill streaks, you know, you got Harrier, Chopper, Nuke. You know, it was just such a fun game, and not only were guns broken, but kill streaks were broken, which made it really fun. You know, if you could get kill streaks. I would say maybe for the worst players it wasn't as fun, but then, you know, they would just pull out a stinger and one shot your chopper gunners, so it was pretty even, I'd say. And that's one thing I miss. You know, the new Call of Duties don't really have overpowered kill streaks, or because, you know, they're all really weak. They can get shot down with a gun in like one clip or a couple clips. It's just not, it's not the same, you know. They're not how they used to be. But I don't really want to make this video to compare MW2 to new CODs. I want to compare it to the older CODs and why it's my favorite older COD and why I think it's the best older COD. You know, out of all the other Call of Duties, by far MW2 obviously have the most hours on, by far. You know, I like pretty much every other older COD. You know, they're all great games. None of them are bad. I'm not making this video to say, you know, these other old CODs suck. They were all good. Black Ops 2 is amazing. But MW2 for me was just over the top amazing. You know, everything about it. To the gun sounds, to the lobby music, the campaign music. When you join into a match and you hear the team music and the announcer says the name of your team.
Team deathmatch. Let's do this.
It was all unique, you know, and we don't have that anymore. We didn't have that with a lot of the older Call of Duties. You know, it slowly started to not be a thing in the game anymore. You know, you only have 2 factions, but MW2 had a ton, you know. TF-141, Spetsnaz, Rangers, Militia. I think I'm missing some other ones, but those ones I remember. It was all unique. You know, whenever the enemy team called in a AC-130 and your guy on your team goes, enemy AC-130 above. Enemy AC-130 above! You know, that's what made the game unique. Or when you call in a nuke and the guy sounds like, you know, he's in horror that you just called in a nuke.
Enemy nuke incoming! It's over!
And they don't have that anymore at all, whatsoever. Like in the new Call of Duties, no, like not at all. But MW2 did it perfect. You know, they had a bunch of different lines that the guys would say, the announcer would say.
Враг убит! Враг убит! Он убит! Он убит! Цель уничтожена! Цель уничтожена! Цель уничтожена! Цель уничтожена! Враг убит!
You know, and that's why I think MW2 was the most unique older Call of Duty. And the better older Call of Duty. Because everything in it, you know, you had so much. You know, it started a lot of things. It started trick shotting, montages. You know, you didn't really have that before that game. I know there was only a few CODs before that. But how much of an icon is the intervention or the Barrett 50 cal? Or, you know, trick shots, 360 no scope, quick scopes. You know, that's where it all really started, was MW2.
Hey, what's up guys? Here I'm bringing you a quick scope tutorial. I think this is going to be on the medium level.
And you can't be more unique than that. You know, you can't recreate something like that. You know, and I bet everyone remembers their first nuke. If you got one, I know you remember it. My first nuke was on Invasion, which happens, like I said earlier, to be my least favorite map. But that was my first nuke. You know, using the Harrier, you get a 7 kill streak, you use your Harrier to get your chopper, and then you use your chopper to get your nuke. The way MW2 worked was, I'm sure a lot of people know this, but you didn't need 25 gun kills like how it is in some of the older Call of Duties or how it is now, you just needed 25 kills in a row, obviously without dying. So you could use kill streaks, you could use whatever you want, a chopper, Harrier, whatever, to get a nuke. You had to have nuke equipped. Nuke was a kill streak you had to put on, but you could use anything to get it. It was OP, right? It was easy, but that meant anyone could pretty much do it. All you did was have to get a Harrier. Your Harrier gets your chopper, and then you get the nuke, you know? Anyone could do it, and it was OP. And that's why the game was balanced, because everything was overpowered.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the world's fastest tactical nuke in 33.3 seconds. And some of you guys may have seen this out there, but I guarantee you there's a few people who haven't. And I wanted to re-upload this to my channel. One, because YouTube deleted it for some reason, and I've been trying to get it back, and I just can't. So I wanted it to live on in history on my YouTube channel. And two, because this is one of my proudest, if not the most pride I got in a gameplay in my Call of Duty career, which sounds a little bit nerdish, but to me it's a big deal. I play a lot of video games, I'm a gamer, and to hold a world record, because I have not seen a legit faster nuke than this one.
MW2 wasn't perfect, and I know it wasn't. And it's not nostalgia that is making me think it's the best game of all time. No, it is my favorite game of all time, the best Call of Duty of all time. And if it's not your favorite Call of Duty, it's definitely up there. You know, it might be tied with Black Ops 2 or right under it, or right under whatever your favorite Call of Duty is. You know, it's up there for pretty much everyone. It was unique, had a ton of memories that it created. The calling cards, the emblems, you know, it really started everything. So all I can say is, where is MW2 Remastered?